Welcome to Vanishing Gates. I am Jayan.
This is Katie Cat.
And yeah, how was your day?
Kind of stressful.
What else going on?
My car was in the shop all weekend, and then I thought it was going to be ready on Monday, so I could go to work, and it wasn't. So I had to miss work.
Very exciting.
Which sucks. And then I had to go into work late today because it wasn't ready. Eh.
And now it's running though.
It's it's mostly fixed. I'm going to have to take it back in and get more stuff fixed on it, but for now, it's better, yeah.
Fun.
You know, just car stuff's always expensive, as you know.
It's never cheap to do car stuff, ever.
Yeah.
It's a pain in the ass.
It is, really.
But St. Patrick's Day was Sunday. Did you have a good St. Patrick's Day?
I did, yeah. I had a lot of fun.
Greened out.
Yeah, I saw some Irish music, and
Yeah.
I ate some corned beef and cabbage that was really good.
Okay.
I had some drinks, but I didn't go crazy.
Usually a good call on St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah, I actually didn't get drunk on St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah, I didn't either.
I did that like the night before, or the couple nights before that, but...
You didn't have to out yourself. I wasn't going to throw you under the bus.
Yeah, well...
I wasn't here. I was driving for the majority of St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah, you were driving, and I was just kind of...
And then I picked you up after.
Mm-hmm, you gave me a ride, and...
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It was fun, though.
Good.
Yeah.
I was literally just in a car the majority of the day.
Yeah, you didn't really... I mean, you don't really celebrate anyway, so...
I don't go out. I celebrate. I just don't go out. And I don't drink
Yeah.
anymore, so it's like, well...
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
What am I going to do? I stopped by and grabbed some O'Doul's and stuff, and I had that, but it wasn't like...
Wore your green shirt. That was about it.
Yeah. Well, my tattoo's green, so it doesn't matter if I wear
That
green or
doesn't
not.
count.
Yes, it does.
No, it doesn't.
It's permanent bull. My kids try to start the same argument with me. No, it counts. It's green. It's on
No, it's got to be clothing.
me. No, it doesn't. It just has to be green.
Wearing green.
It's still worn on my skin like a tattoo. The reference is the same.
Like a tattoo.
Green
It is a
makeup works the
tattoo.
same. It is literally a tattoo. Yeah, it's
That's like me saying, well, my
permanent
eyes
makeup.
are green.
I'd go with it. My eyes are partially green.
I've tried to use that excuse, and people are like, that doesn't count.
Well, I tell them they're wrong. Vetoed. Anyway, so in honor of St. Patrick's Day, I thought we'd get with some Irish theme still, even though we're after St. Patrick's Day now.
Yeah.
It's still kind of prescient. And actually,
Still March.
I wrote all these notes on St. Patrick's Day when I got home before I picked you up, which was fun. So we're going to talk a little bit about the Hellfire Club.
Okay.
Have you ever heard of the Hellfire Club?
I have heard of it. I just don't know much about it.
Where have you heard about it?
I heard about it on Ghost Adventures.
Oh, okay, so you probably actually heard about this exact location.
Yeah.
So the Hellfire Club isn't just a location, though, but this particular one is a location.
Yeah.
So on Montpelier Hill, on Montpelier Hill, I cannot talk today. On Montpelier Hill, not far from South Dublin, Ireland, Ireland's capital and largest city, there are Neolithic stones made into a structure, dating Neolithic being between 4500 BC and 2000 BC. The stones once formed an ancient passage tomb. It's a kind of tomb with multiple burial chambers, and they're connected by tunnels, and they're made of large stones usually.
Okay.
You'll see like remnants, if you see pictures of Ireland and stuff, and Scotland and Wales, where there's still stone structures and stuff, there's a lot of those out
Yeah.
that you can kind of see.
It's very old looking.
Yeah, it's very
Yeah.
old, stony landscape. Now, in 1725, the tomb was actually destroyed. It was torn down and torn apart by a politician named William Connolly. He decided to use the stones as materials for a shooting lodge, and it's now in ruins. So a shooting lodge is just a hunting lodge, for those who are wondering. Essentially, old Billy Connolly, not to be confused with the brilliant Scottish comedian and actor, Billy Connolly, who had one of the greatest lines ever in the movie An Everlasting Peace, which is about a toupee. There's two brothers that wanted to start a toupee company, and Billy Connolly was the crazy guy who was like the best toupee maker in all the land. And so they went to see him in prison to get his client list to try to make money. And his response to them was, in the words of St. Peter to the hermaphrodites, go f*** yourself. So I thought that was just a great line. Billy Connolly, amazing comedian. Not the same guy, though.
I like how you censored yourself.
Well, yeah, it goes better than having to go back and just, Now, Billy Connolly, not Big Yin, but the parliamentarian speaker, tore down two very large grave sites and just to make a place to be social. Now, something about building over sacred land red flags me. You know what I mean? It's like, hey, you shouldn't do
Yeah,
this.
you shouldn't do that. No.
I mean, you saw Poltergeist,
Yeah.
Indian burial ground and stuff.
Yeah, it's a
Things
bad
like
idea.
that. Yeah.
And they still do that, and then it ends up being haunted.
Yeah, you know, and
Yeah.
big surprise. Even after he was warned off from building there, he continued to do it anyway. The locals were like, "Hey, don't do this. Not a brilliant idea." But he decided, "Yeah, whatever. I don't care." And so, within weeks of construction being complete, a big storm came through and just ripped the whole flippin' wood roof right off the structure,
Wow.
causing lots of damage. And you know, the whispers of the locals, of course, started whispering around about curses and things like that, and the spirits were angry, and that's what caused it to happen. But Connolly was a hardened, like, unmoving Anglican. He didn't believe in the ghost thing. He wouldn't do that. And as a spit in the ethereal face of these so-called spirits, he decided to use the stones from the tomb to build the roof of the structure instead. So it's kind of like he just doubled down on the whole curse thing.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm not having your nonsense, guys. This is.
He didn't believe it or something.
Yeah, so he just had the stone structures, the stones put on top of the stone structure to what he'd torn down already.
Yeah.
Now, he'd never get to use the lodge officially. On October 20th of 1729, that's how long ago this happened, the speaker had collapsed in the House of Commons. He was taken home where, you know, death stuck around. It was written as he was taken home where death lingered, having blisters on his arms and thighs, fluxes and purging, and having a fever. Now,
Wow.
yeah, I couldn't actually figure out what killed him, but I looked back at the time frame and the symptoms, and I personally, I would guess yellow fever, which was pretty common at that point in time, and the symptoms are very similar.
Yeah.
When Connolly did die, his widow leased the building to Richard Parsons, the Earl of Rosse, in 1735. Parson was one of the top guys in the Dublin Hellfire Club, which is a secret organization, kind of like you know, the Masons and stuff, but they were different-minded.
Yeah.
It's more like what you'd expect to see at that place in SoCal that Alex Jones did a thing about, Bohemian Grove.
I don't know. I haven't heard of it.
It's kind of like that kind of thing. He was a top guy in the Hellfire Club, also known as the Blasters or the Young Bucks of Dublin. Now, Jonathan Swift, the famous satirist and author, he actually described the group of the young aristocrats, read it as Nepo babies, I guess, in this day and age, as a brace of monsters, blasphemers, and bacchanalians. Quite the slight.
Bacchanalians?
Mm-hmm. Drunkards. So that
I've
comes
never
from,
heard that saying.
well, the Greek god of wine, Bacchus.
Oh.
Bacchanalian, the revelers, partiers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like you. A reveler and a partier. Get it?
Okay.
The one who just was like, I was fairly sober on St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah.
So you're trying to
I
say
only
you're
drink
not a
on the
bacchanalian?
weekends.
So,
No, we know some people that are literally
absolutely.
that.
We're going to start calling out, look at that bacchanalian.
My best friend is like literally that.
Yeah, proudly.
Proudly,
Wears it
she
on her
doesn't.
sleeve.
She doesn't care.
So, now from a BBC article, among his other proclivities, it was said that Rosse liked to receive guests in the nude. Himself, not the guests. The club was one of many in both England and Ireland where rich young rakes indulged in ceremonial drinking and dining and gambling and carousing. But a few clubs crossed the line into sex, blasphemy, and sheer bloody badness, or so the rumor goes. I love how this article is written by the BBC. The first Hellfire Club was set up by the Duke of Wharton, and specialized in daring deeds like playing cards on Sunday. Bastards. Reading Lucretius and eating pigeon. Or reading Lucretius and eating pigeon.
Eating
known
pigeon?
as Holy Ghost pie. Yeah.
Was that like a thing back then? They used to eat pigeons?
People still eat pigeon.
Not here.
Yeah. If you ever go to a restaurant and order squaw, it's pigeon. Or if you're ever at a barbecue somewhere and they serve like a southern dining style
Well, it was
squaw.
probably more popular back then.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's more popular. It's not as common here.
Yeah.
Known as Holy Ghost Pie, is chronicled in the Hellfire Club, Sex, Satanism, and Secret Societies by Evelyn Lord. I have not read that, but I should. If you've read it, let me know in the comments. The most notorious club was formed by Sir Francis Dashwood with the motto "Fais ce que tu voudras," or "Do as you will." And don't even get on to me about mispronouncing my Latin. It's been a long time since I studied it. Dashwood's club included some of Britain's most senior statesmen and aristocrats. They met in a series of underground caves in the West Wycombe and, legend has it, indulged in a lot of risky behavior with a strict proviso: what goes on underground stays underground. Wonder where Vegas got the idea from, huh? You want to read this next part?
Okay, where you at? Okay. His club was called the Monks of Friars of St. Francis of Wycombe. Wycombe?
Yes.
It was anything but sanity and involved drinking, wenching, and banqueting.
Drinking, wenching, and banqueting.
What's banqueting?
Eating at feasts.
Oh, okay. And wenching is like having sex?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Hooking up with the bitches,
Okay.
as they say in church.
Later, there were suggestions of ritual abuse of women and black masses, but perhaps people with an axe to grind would be keen to spread such rumors. Ailing Tierney?
Aisling Tierney.
Aisling
from
Tierney.
Limerick.
Man, that's a super Irish name.
Uh-huh.
Who just finished a PhD in Bristol on the Hellfire Clubs, has been working on untangling the web of rumor and gossip and establishing the archaeological truth.
It's kind of a pain to read this article, isn't it?
A little bit. Her interest was sparked when she came upon a copy of Geoffrey Ash's Hellfire Clubs, A History of Anti-Morality, in a second-hand bookshop. The spark lit a fire. The clubs appeared in waves, first in London in the 1720s, then in Dublin and Limerick in the 1740s, and then the Dashwood Club of the 1750s. She said people associated them with what was going morally wrong in society. There were parties, revels, and prostitutes. There was sexual energy and drinking, she said. You want me to keep going?
I can.
Okay.
But to what extent were there acts of blasphemy? She points to a painting of Sir Francis Dashwood by Hogarth. He is portrayed as St. Francis at prayer, but the Bible in front of him has been replaced by an erotic novel. A halo above his head shows a picture of his friend, the Earl of Sandwich. A miniature naked woman in front of him lies in what looks like the ecstasy of St. Teresa.
The Earl of Sandwich?
Yes, it's a real thing.
That's funny.
Beware the article continues, beware the black cat the size of a grown Dalmatian who haunts the Dublin Hellfire Club. At that time, blasphemy against Catholicism was permitted, she pointed out. But were there actually Satan worshippers? Now, the reason blasphemy was permitted against Catholics in the time was because the Church of England was making these decisions. And the predominance of Ireland was still Catholic. That's what you'll hear about Protestants versus Provos.
Yeah.
Provos being provisional Irish, or Catholics, the North and Southern Ireland split. The English side was Anglican, the rest of Ireland was Catholic, the majority of it.
Okay.
Okay, the newspaper. But were they actually Satan worshippers? The newspapers of the time had stories of the devil walking among them, and those stories spread like wildfire in the 1720s, and even reached papers in the New World, she said. Yes, there was a gossip and a rumor, but there was no actual physical evidence to suggest they viewed themselves as devil worshippers. In Ireland, the Dublin Hellfire Club first met on Cork Hill at the Eagle Tavern. In an article for the Irish Times, David Ryan, author of the book Blasphemers, Blackguards, the Irish Hellfire Club, calls the founder, the Earl of Rosse, a notorious libertine fond of playing outrageous practical jokes on members of the clergy. On one occasion, he stripped naked to receive a visit from the eminent clergyman Samuel Madden, co-founder of the Dublin Society, now the Royal Dublin Society, he writes. Another of the club's members, James Warsdale, was an artist, playwright, and womanizer. Once on a visit to Mallow, he made a little too free with his landlady's daughter, causing the irate mother to beat him through the town with a hot shoulder of mutton. So far, so frivolous.
Shoulder of mutton? Hot shoulder of mutton? Is that meat?
Yeah, it's sheep leg.
Oh, she beat him with it?
Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
Archaeologists are excavating the site of the old Hellfire Club in Dublin Hills, but there was a much darker side to the club. It was a place where young, rich aristocrats would get away, literally, with murder. When we come to one of the club's younger members, Henry, 4th Baron Barry of Santry, things start to get more sinister, writes Ryan. Lord Santry was civil enough when sober. When intoxicated, as often as he was, a much darker side was revealed. One of his most shocking crimes was the murder of an ill and bedridden servant. Having forced the unfortunate man to drink a bottle of brandy, Santry drenched his bedclothes in alcohol and set them on fire, burning him alive. He escaped punishment by buying the silence of witnesses, and out of the dirty deeds like this, the Hellfire Club got its gory reputation and cast a long shadow down the years. There's a tale of a young local farmer who was curious about what happened and was found by club members wandering about. They dragged him inside and allowed him to see. The next morning he was found wandering on the mountains, unable to speak, and he remained deaf and dumb for the rest of his life. There are stories of black cat with ear-like horns and evil eyes who took on the priest and still haunts the place. He is, they say, the size of a large Dalmatian. However, David Ryan states that although the club members were rumored to be devil worshippers, in reality they were free thinkers who believed in neither heaven nor hell. Aisling huh?
Oh, I was just going. Oh. I'm just interested.
Oh, you heard cat. You're like, cat? Aisling...
Big cat.
Cat. Aisling Tierney is equally skeptical about the satanic line. However, there's evidence that the Dublin Lodge had an additional room added on. Maybe it was about being able to continue the party into the wee hours and collapsing into bed, she said. Nevertheless, the rumors are rife, and the Dublin Hellfire Club's reputation for black magic and mystery and heinous goings-on echo down the years. So, they had an extra room built on, it seems, and the suggestion by Tierney is that it might have been for someone to crash and not for rituals.
Yeah.
But the actual rumors were that it was for a ritual.
It was just for people after they've been partying all night to go and like...
To have somewhere to sleep.
Just pass out, basically.
Or to bang it out in or something. I don't know.
Yeah, whatever.
Probably things like that. So recently archaeologists have been digging around, sticking their nose where, well, they're just digging around, and out of the tombs they discovered in Wicklow, the remnants were pointed that this tomb might have been the largest by far of all the remnants in the area. So, Neil Jackman, Hugh's brother, just kidding, a representative from Alberta Heritage said in the BBC thing, Alberta Heritage is a heritage society. They try to preserve landmarks and things. We knew one was here, as it was recorded, that there were 2 potential passage tombs, but it's great to say definitely that it's there, he said. It's exactly like Newgrange, a large mound of stones with a stone-lined passage. Inside you'd find cremated remains. The tomb might have been used for this community, or it might have been hierarchical, but it would have been for a large community. It's an extremely rare find. The last one was discovered in County Kilkenny about 20 years ago. According to Neil, the dig represents an opportunity to learn more about the superstition and surroundings, or that surrounded the Hellfire Club. Archaeologists at the beginning of the dig at the Hellfire Club, the original folklore about the site is very interesting. Folklore tends to reflect what society's afraid of. The tomb or cairn being destroyed would have made people fearful. They would have treated it as sacred, and it would have made people uneasy. He also said the dig was a great opportunity for the public to come and see archaeological work. It's an open excavation, so people can come up to the site and chat us. They've been telling us about their memories and family stories at the Hellfire Club. It's a real opportunity to see us digging in the field. It's been absolutely brilliant, and the weather's been good, so that's helped too. We've been incredibly lucky. So they're digging at it actively. You can go visit the place and the site, or you can go check it out and see what it's all about. So why is the Hellfire Club now in ruins? Well, as the story goes, it seems the young men would sit around and get pissed on scathleen and play cards. Or scalthine. Scalthine is whiskey and butter. Whiskey and hot butter mixed together.
Ooh.
Yeah, so they
that
drink.
Sounds good.
I know. I figured you'd enjoy that. So scalthine.
Try that.
Yeah, and then they'd play cards, and they would supposedly leave a chair empty as an invite for the devil to join them in the game and the revelry. The story goes, one night, a lone man knocked on the door seeking refuge. They allowed him in, and during the game of cards, one of the members of the Hellfire Club dropped his cards on the ground. He reached down to go pick it up, and when he looked, he saw that the man's feet were cloven hooves instead of feet, much like the devil would be.
Yeah.
When the man saw that, apparently he burst into flames. The flames started a fire, and that fire spread all through the lodge. You can even see the charred walls in the lodge to this day.
Wow. That's
Now,
interesting.
yeah, so there's stories like that where the devil comes by, and when the devil's caught, things happen. So that's the story that is predominant that I found about what happened there.
If you see that that's the devil, you die.
Well, that was like the catalyst of what set it off, was him being caught, I guess. I don't understand why that would be the case.
Because they'll tell. Because they'll go and say
Yeah,
that he's there, maybe.
that's the thing. But that put the end to the Hellfire Club. You'd think if the devil did it, he wouldn't be burning down his own temple, basically, you know?
Yeah, because they... Well, no, they didn't worship him, but they...
Well, hypothetically, that's
Yeah.
the story, is that they were devil worshippers. There's another story, which I think is probably more accurate, where Thomas Whaley, the son of Richard Chapel Whaley, a.k.a. Burn Chapel Whaley, because he was the commander of the peace, or what was it, the commissioner of peace, and so his thing was to go burn down Catholic buildings, like churches, chapels. Yeah, so he was the commissioner of peace. But his son allegedly lit a servant on fire. The servant spilled brandy on him or something, and it pissed him off. So he lit him on fire, killed the servant. The fire spread, killed several other members of the Hellfire Club, and it engulfed like the entire building, destroying what was inside of it.
Wow.
So people did live through it, allegedly, including Thomas Whaley. He went on to do all sorts of crazy shit around the world and be really renowned and well known for all sorts of, crap.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Hellfire Club members, they relocated. They didn't just stop having the club. They changed their place of shenanigans. They moved it to a different venue. But the stories around the grounds of the Hellfire Club are still persistent to this day.
And you can go, visit it?
Yeah, if you want to visit today, look for the Montpelier Loop Trail, is what you'd actually look for. There are 2 trails to take between, one's an hour and a half, give or take. It's a 15-minute drive from Sandyford, or 10 if you're either in Rathfarren or Furhouse. I think they're the ones. I wrote it down, but I wasn't looking.
That would be a cool thing to go see.
Yeah, so
travel over there.
If you're near Dublin, I guess you can go check it out. I
would go do that if I went to Ireland.
The locals still do talk about the giant cat, the Dalmatian-sized cat.
They see it.
Mm-hmm. You ever hear that story, Wait Till Martin Comes?
No.
It reminds me of that story. So there's a traveling salesman. Mm-hmm. He's going about, and I don't have notes for this, I'm going to try to do this off memory. He's traveling, it's getting late. He's traveling to this town. He's made all the sales he can make. There's no vacancies at any inns. And someone says, hey, we don't have any vacancy here, but there's an old abandoned house at the edge of town if you want to stay there. He said, I don't suggest it. The locals say it's haunted, but you're welcome to go there. No one's going to stop you. It's just no one knows who owns it. There's no one ever there. It's been abandoned for as long as I can remember. And I've been here for a very long time, kind of thing. So the salesman says, fuck it, it's raining, the storm's getting worse, I'll risk it, I'm not scared. So he gets there, he'd gotten a newspaper and some food and stuff from the innkeeper, because he had that shit. Traveled there, sat down in front of the fireplace in a big chair that was there, lit the fire, had it going, and he started reading the newspaper. And he was getting to reading it, and a little while later, this little cat scurries over and sits down and just stares at him. Between him and the fire, and just stares at him. So sales guy kind of looks at it. It's a cat. Goes back to reading. A little bit later, he notices more scampering, and he looks down. The cat's still there, but then next to that cat, walks over and sits down next to that cat and stares at him. As a cat that's, a very large cat. I don't know what cats are what size, but it's a pretty good sized cat. Mm-hmm. And he looks at it and goes, okay, another black cat. And at this point he's like, must be a family of cats, maybe it's a mom, and there's probably some more kittens or something lying around. Yeah. They're running around. That's just, barn cats and stuff, they get into places and they kind of just live there.
Stray cats, yeah.
Yeah, and strays. They find somewhere warm. He's like, it's raining, it's thundering out, lightning's going. Whatever. So he goes back to reading, and a little bit later, more but heavier sounding scampering goes by, and he looks, and there's a cat the size of a relatively small dog, like a medium-sized dog, sits down next to the other cat.
So there's 3 cats there now.
Yeah. And the first cat and the second cat look up from the sales guy. And the second cat, salesman thinks he heard the second cat, what should we do now? And the salesman
talked?
Double checked, yeah. Looks at it again, and the cats are just sitting there now. The main cat, the big cat's glaring at him. And the little cats are staring at the big cat. And so he looks at him. Nothing's happening. Shrugs it off and goes back to reading. And then he hears another voice say, "We'll wait till Martin comes." He looks back. He looks around, thinking maybe there's someone here, and he goes, "Hello?" He's looking around. The cats are just now all 3 staring at him again. He's looking around like, where is this person at that's talking to me? You know, he's like, am I going to get jumped? Am I going to get robbed?
Yeah.
So he got up and he secured the door and everything, and he looks around and there's nobody there. There's no cars around. His car's fine. Sits back down by the fireplace, or in the chair by the fire. Cats are still there staring at him. They're staring at him the whole time he moved. They're staring at him. You know how animals do when they're just looking at things and they're
especially cats.
Tracking. Yeah, cats.
Yeah.
Dogs will do it sometimes.
Yeah.
Sits back and reads it. A little bit later, he forgot about the whole thing and he chalks it up to, getting kind of tired.
Yeah.
So he sips some warm brandy or something and goes back to reading. And a little bit later, after he has a couple drinks, he hears larger footsteps, padding, and he looks over and there's an even larger cat sat right next to the other 3.
Wow.
And the other 3 are staring at the big cat. The big cat is staring at him. The cat's the size of a medium-sized dog.
Yeah.
Looking at him. He's looking around like, I know I locked the door, so I don't feel a breeze, so I don't think the window's open. But he just shrugs it off, and then he hears, well, what should we do now? And he doesn't even look. He hears, we'll wait till Martin comes. And he goes, and the cats are all just staring at him.
Wow.
And he's like looking around like, what the fuck? What is happening right now? So he goes back to reading his newspaper. Takes some more brandy. Nothing else is going on for a while. Maybe an hour's passed. And every once in a while he'll look and the cats are still just staring at him, not moving. And he's, what do you guys want? I don't have any food for you. Whatever. You know how people talk to animals. This is fuck it. They're not doing anything. A little bit later he hears more footsteps. It sounds much larger and heavier padding over. And he looks and there is a cat as large as a very large dog. Around the size of, like, say, a German Shepherd. Sitting next to the other cats. And they're staring at the big dog, or the big cat, the big cat, and the big cat's staring at him. And he stops and he looks at him, he puts his newspaper down a little more, glares at him. All of them start looking at him again. Slowly, all of them turn in sync to look at him to match the gaze of the larger cat. And he starts getting a little freaked out. I probably would have after the 3rd cat.
Yeah.
And he starts to shake a little bit. He drinks a little bit more brandy. The cats aren't doing anything. He's just sitting there. The fire's fine. Nobody's around him. He's still looking around like, I'm being messed with. There's something going on. And he goes back to reading the newspaper. A little bit later, he hears even louder steps. And this time, he looks down in time to see a cat the size of like a Chow Chow or a St. Bernard walking over and sitting next to the other cats, and he sees all the other cats look at the big cat. And the other cat that had walked in before goes, what should we do with him? And the sales guy shoots the rest of his drink, looks at him, he's trembling, and the really large cat says, oh, we'll wait till Martin comes. And you can see the mouth moving, they all start staring at him again. And he gets up, and he folds his newspaper, and he grabs his keys, and he runs to the door and says, tell Martin I couldn't wait! Took the fuck off.
Wow, what a story that was.
I know, it's a long story for a joke.
Kind of long, yeah.
That's the whole point. Besides this big, like, what's going to happen? He's, tell Martin I couldn't wait.
Yeah.
And he had to leave. Yeah. Tear ass out of there.
Did you make that up?
Fuck no, that's an old story.
Okay.
No, that's been around for. It's just that cat in the story, the Dalmatian-sized cat, reminds me.
But
of
it's
it.
also creepy. It's
very creepy.
It's creepy with all the cats coming in and then they're getting bigger and talking and. staring at him. It's creepy.
That reminds me of the Teeth story. You ever hear that one? The
Mm.
guy's walking home from the pub, and as he's walking, he sees a fella, and he's smoking a cigarette. It's starting to kind of rain a little bit. He's got his hat over a little bit, trying to keep his cigarette lit. And he sees a fella standing in the corner, kind of in the shadows. And he goes, "Hey man, do you know what time it is?" And the guy leans forward out of the shadow. He looks at his watch and he smiles. And he's got like abnormally large teeth, like not crazy, but like just a little longer than usual.
Yeah.
And enough where it takes him aback. And he's like, the guy tells him what time it is. And he goes, "Well, thank you." And he keeps walking, and the guy disappears back into the shadow. And then he's walking. He's like, "Man, I didn't think I was this far from home." But he'd had a few drinks. You know, he was leaving the pub. The cigarette's gone. He ashes it and tosses it. Goes to light up another one as he sees a guy and realizes his matches are soaked. And so he says, "Hey, hey bud," because the guy's smoking. He said, "Do you mind if I get a light from you?" And the guy just kind of puts a cigarette forward and he lights off a cigarette. And the guy he goes, "Thanks." And the guy leans forward and smiles at him, showing even larger teeth than the first guy. One of the guys like, "Jesus, those are big ass teeth." He goes, "No problem, bud," and just stares at him as he walks away. And then as he's dissipating into the shadows, the guy keeps going. A little bit later, he's like, there's got to be like a cab stop or something I can find. And it was kind of late. I closed the bar down, but he's smoking, and so he sees a guy kind of like under some awning, and he goes, "Hey man, is there like a bus stop or a cab stop around here?" And the guy leans forward and smiles at him. He's got really fucking long, like inch-long teeth, and his mouth is kind of jagged. And he goes, "It's down the road about 4 blocks."
Ew.
And he goes, "Okay, thanks, man." And he's like, "No problem," and does the same thing and kind of disappears into the darkness of the covering. And the guy goes, "Okay." He's hustling a little further, and then he sees another guy just stop and say, "Hey, buddy." And the guy's teeth were like 4 inches long, and he goes, "Do you know how to get to your house?" Yeah. That's the whole story.
That's the whole story?
Yeah, I don't remember the other parts of it.
Oh.
I think there's different versions of it. That's just the one that I
It's
remember off the
creepy.
top of my head. I've heard like 4 or 5 versions of it.
Oh my
But
gosh.
yeah, it's just hella creepy. Or the salesman, another traveling salesman, is going through town, same kind of thing, and he finds an abandoned place to stay and tucks himself into bed for the night. And he heard all the people say, "Don't stay there, it's haunted," but he had no other choice, so he's like, "Fuck it, whatever." And in the reflection of the light, as he's laying in the bed, he sees 2 eyes, just white eyes, just staring at him from the foot of the bed.
Oh god, that'd be
And
so
so he
scary.
throws the blankets over his head, and he just lays there for a while.
Yeah.
And he starts to peek out, and the eyes are still staring at him, so he just white eyes at the foot of the bed, so puts his blanket back up and waits for a while. He's not hearing anything, he's just laying there. And again, he checks it a little later, and they're still there, and he pulls his head up, the blanket, and then he reaches under and grabs his pistol that he travels with, and he pulls the blanket down and shoots, and starts screaming bloody murder because he shot his own toe off.
What?
Toenails reflecting in the light. I thought they were eyeballs.
Oh.
How have you never heard these stories? It's like super old.
No, I haven't.
It's like in a dark
Silly.
house. There was a dark hall.
Just keep coming.
Past the dark hall, there was a dark staircase. Up the dark staircase, there was a dark door. In the dark room, or in the dark door, there was a dark room. In the dark room, there was a dark closet. In the dark closet, there was a dark box.
Oh god.
In the dark box, there was a ghost!
I knew one of these you were gonna scare me. I fucking knew it.
And with that, ladies and gentlemen, that's a great episode of Vanishing Gates.
Yeah.
I'm Jay, and this is...
Damn it. Katie.
Who probably has to change her pants at this point. Pee a little.
I'm not an old lady.
It's not just old ladies that pee themselves. I think Jack does it every couple of weeks on purpose.
No, I didn't pee my pants, don't worry.
That was pretty good, though. I couldn't have timed that any better. That was perfect.
I was thinking, I was like, I bet one of these stories he's gonna jump scare
I noticed
me.
you were sitting back, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna wrap this one up.
Yeah. I was thinking about it. I was right.
Maybe I'll just start telling old stories for one of these episodes
Do it to,
that my dad
do it
used
to
to tell me.
Jack. Do it to Jack next time.
He's already heard all these stories.
I know, but I want to see him get scared.
I don't want to give him a heart attack, the big galoot. But yeah, so Hellfire Club in Dublin. You can still go check it out. Watch out for large cats.
Yeah. That talk.
Mm-hmm. Chatty cats. You got to watch out for them. You can check us out on Facebook.
Vanishing Gates, Facebook.
Yeah. Don't forget to like, follow, share, subscribe, whatever you got to do here on YouTube, because we really love that. Leave us comments too. Let us know that you're listening and what you guys think of the show, the episodes. If you have any ideas of topics you want us to discuss, things like that, let us know.
Yeah.
Hopefully soon we'll
Give
be able
us
to
some
start
ideas. We always need ideas.
Absolutely, ideas are always good. Hopefully pretty soon I can get it set back up so we can start receiving calls from guests on the phone and stuff like that. That's always fun.
That'd be cool, yeah.
Yeah, or maybe we'll set it up where we can do Skype calls, because you can do that
Oh, like
too.
video calls, yeah.
Video calls and things like that for folks, because that would be fun.
Yeah.
I'm still got a couple other things in the works. I want to do some stuff in the field, get out and actually do some location
Yeah,
stuff.
that'd be fun.
Yeah, because we've been wanting to do that for a while. It's just a matter of scheduling most.
Some investigations.
Yeah, that'd be great. If you're into gaming, check me out on Twitch, Moojuice Magic, MooJuicemajik.
I'm Katie Cat Plays, and I stream sometimes.
Occasionally.
Occasionally.
It's always. I've tried to talk her into doing more horror games because the reactions like that last one is pretty good.
Yeah.
She like wimp quit a game the other day that she's been trying to get me to play for a while.
Yeah, I was like, that's too creepy.
She was playing it in the studio and she's like, can you come here and watch me play this? I'm like,
well, and you did the same thing where you scared me, and then I didn't want to play after.
One of our earlier episodes, one of the people that used to listen locally, she was listening to an episode and we were talking about ghosts, and she was working at a mortuary. Not a mortuary, but a crematory.
Oh, gosh.
And so she was there alone listening to the show, and I did a thing about, it was, it was something like, if you're alone, remember, if you're alone in the dark by yourself right now, there's something right behind you! And it scared, I bet when she was listening to it, it scared the crap out of her. She emailed me about it. And that was one of my finest moments, that I can scare someone and not even be in the vicinity of them.
Damn.
And I think that was when we were just audio, before we were doing video shows.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's one of the first few episodes.
Oh, that's a while ago then.
Oh, yeah, like 7 years ago, something like that.
Yeah.
But anyway, thanks for watching. Stick around. Tell your friends. We want to try to move this up. We are 80-something followers only on YouTube.
Yeah.
Would like to be further. We're having a hard time, because we do some live streams on Facebook, but we do that, and then we do this show separate.
Yeah.
So check us out there. Yeah. Check out the Facebook. Give us a follow. All that crap. Well, anyway, guys, thanks. I'm Jay, and this is
Katie.
on behalf of Jack. Good night and good nightmares.